going back to the PS1 and hopefully with a game that's going to be a little bit more enjoyable than the last two, which were, of course, Alfred Chicken and Alex Ferguson's Player Manager 2001. Today's game is one that I've had, so there's not going to be much of a shock here for me. And I can tell you straight away, it's a good game. Alien Trilogy. And this is actually one of the games that I got with the first sort of batch of on my PlayStation 1 when I first traded in my Mega Drive. A very sad day for me, and got a PS1. I got it with Alien Trilogy, Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil 2 and Gran Turismo, to give you that background. This was the oldest of those games. I think all the rest came out the same year I picked up my PS1, but this was quite cheap. I always loved the Alien movies, and I didn't fully know what to expect. I'd played Alien games before and they were just side-scrolling platformers, but this was a huge step up. A full FPS, and may I add, it was shit scary when you were the age that I was at the time, which was probably about 12 or 13 maybe. So yeah, Alien Trilogy, great little CGI intro here, and this is from our friends at Acclaim, and developed by Probe, who we've seen many a time doing pretty crap games, if I'm honest, on the Mega Drive, as we've been going through all the various A to Z playthroughs that I've been doing. I think Probe, if I'm right, did do Stargate, possibly, on the Mega Drive as well, which I did like. But yeah, let's see how it holds up now. One of the big things about this is the atmosphere is fantastic, but the music is really at odds, I guess, with the type of game that it is. It's, as I recall, it's quite like a jazz type soundtrack. It's not very you'd expect something quite full of dread and getting you prepared to be terrified, but no, it's more of like a slow jazz soundtrack that actually fits really well. So let's see how we go. Here we are. So overall, straight away, you can see pretty nice. It's a step up from the likes of Doom. The 3D environments look pretty good even now, I would say. And then, of course, we've got sort of a flat 2D player hand and weaponry, and I think the enemies are too. They're just sort of sprites that move towards you, like that facehugger was. But yeah, it's very similar to Doom. You're going around, you're trying to find key cards to open doors. Thought we could blow up them barrels, maybe not. It's just got a great atmosphere, but I tell you what, it's a lot darker than I remember. It's kind of hard to see. Probably didn't think about those things back then, Nowadays, it's all about the brightness settings. With me on horror games, I'll ramp them up to the maximum straight away. Basically playing basked in light the whole time I walk around things in Resident Evil these days. Just haven't got the heart for it. I don't know what that's about. As I get older, more scared by games. Okay. There we go. Don't know what I was pressing there. That took an unnaturally long amount of time. And as you can see, we've got the classic alien radar in the bottom right, doing its little beeping and letting us know that there's stuff nearby. So this actually came out at the start of February, I was about to say the start of February 1996, not January, February, on the PlayStation, and it came out a few months later on the Saturn as well, so I don't know how that version is. Probably doesn't run quite as well. Saturn wasn't the greatest with 3D games, but was fantastic with 2D. So, whoa! I mean, that effect there was really good on the explosion, and here we have our first proper alien. There's just something about a double-barreled shotgun in there. I say double. Does it have two barrels? I don't know. There's something about a shotgun in the hand. It's very maze-like. I'll say one thing, you know, 5 minutes or so into the game, this holds up. This definitely does hold up. I'd go as far as to say, except for Alien Isolation, which I couldn't play much of because it was just absolutely terrifying, but it's clearly a very good game. This is probably still the best Alien game. It's not had a great history since Alien Trilogy with crap like Alien Colonial Marines. Although there was one just released, I say just, probably a year ago now, on the PS5, I think it was Fireteam Elite or something like that. I never played it. I just don't think the games capture the atmosphere as much of the films, but this does. Again, the music, it wouldn't be the sort that you'd have put with Alien, but it fits, doesn't it? It just suits the environment, suits the type of gameplay, the exploring. Oh, it's on my face! I love that effect. What a great effect that is. It didn't have a multiplayer mode, this one. It was pure single player. Oh, God. Yeah, it is a really, really fun game. I think it was quite well received from the research I did before the video. It looks like it isn't just me that holds this in high regard. I think it got sort of 7.5s, 8s out of 10 back in the day, and I think it still holds up. I really do. The sad thing when you go back to some of these games, as I've seen so often, they just don't quite match your memory, and in some ways it's quite sad going back and, you know, you're kind of seeing the man behind the curtain with these games, and you just almost wish you'd left it to the memory. But this one, no, it holds up. Oh, God. I think it suits Alien as well, just how claustrophobic and, you know, tight the corridors are. You need that on this. Maybe that's one of the things that's held Alien back as technology's advanced and we've gone to more open environments and that type of thing. You need that claustrophobic and really focused feel, I think, to match the atmosphere of the game, of the film. If I had one criticism, although I can't remember if it changes later on, I do think it probably is a bit repetitive with the environment, but, you know, this suits Alien. I suppose it gets a bit crazy if they start doing this, you know, outside of the ships and stuff like that, and maybe that was a conscious decision to stay as close to the films as they could. I do love that effect, the explosion. Nice. You know, we're in an era at the moment where so many games are getting a remaster. I recently just completed Klonoa and Klonoa 2 on the PlayStation 5. Great games, still hold up. Originally on PS1 and PS2, and I have to say, this would be great for a remaster, or a full remake, not a remaster, you know. Add a few modern touches in there. But, yeah, bring it back. Stop making crap Alien games. Get back to just going down corridors in first person with a shotgun, blasting facehuggers. That's what we want from an Alien game. Or that's what I want. Feels like we've gone in a totally different direction for the last few years. You know, focusing on squad orders and that type of thing. That's the kind of way it's gone. There's not been that feeling of isolation, bar the game ironically called Alien Isolation, which I think is more of a, again from what I played, more of a sort of Outlast style horror hide in cupboards type game. You haven't got that feeling of power like I have here where I'm walking around with a shotgun. I think that there's a place for a game like this where you're just blasting the aliens on your own, isolated. A horror game, but one that you feel capable in, you know? Yeah, there's definitely a place for it. Bit lost here. That's the only thing we get, and this, you know, this goes for Duke Nukem, Doom, Quake, any of those types of games. I do sometimes find that the environments, they make you lose yourself in them because it's just the same corridors after the same corridors. You're just kind of going around trying to find the one door that opens now. But again, this is what I'm saying with a remake. A couple of modern design decisions could be made there, maybe a waypoint finder or something like that. But yeah, I'm really being pedantic trying to pick holes in it. I think it does hold up. It's one of the best of the PlayStation 1 games we've played so far. I think that's without doubt. We've not really touched the good stuff of the library that this game, the system has. But this is up there. If I'm honest, the PS1 wasn't a real powerhouse for first-person shooters. It just had a lot of ports. A few games I remember enjoying were sort of like Crazy Ivan, Disruptor, let me think, Life Force Tenka. These aren't games that are very well regarded, but I enjoyed them. But Alien Trilogy has to be up there. I'm racking my mind thinking, but there isn't an awful lot of great PlayStation 1 first-person shooters, so I definitely think if you're in the market for one, you've got to give Alien Trilogy a go. It's got the atmosphere of the films, it's got the shooting, it's got the acid, it's got the face huggers. What more do you need? Ellen Ripley stalking corridors with a shotgun. That is ideal. And the music is a delight, to use such a strong word. Kind of gives me Castlevania Symphony of the Night vibes, actually. It really doesn't feel like it's the type of soundtrack you'd have on a game like this, but it just fits. Very good indeed. Battery. Oh, there we go. Door is powered. Yeah, be keen to have a look at the Sega Saturn version and just see if that was balked in any way or anything like that. Because I know the system did seem to struggle sometimes with certain games that were no issue to the PS1, but on the flip side, like I say, Sega Saturn was an absolute powerhouse of a machine when it came to the 2D games, like Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, or X-Men vs. Street Fighter, that type of thing. Derm patch. Can't seem to get up there. Have it. Oh yes, look at this room. So there's quite a few goodies in here. Nice to see the Wayland Yutani logo plastered around. It really does just fit the mood of the films. It really does. Very cool. Well, as I think we come to the end of this brief look at Alien Trilogy, I think it's fair to say I'm very impressed with it still. It holds up. You know, we're talking about a 26-year-old game here, and I think it's still great. I really do. I think there's a place for a game like this in the modern era. I think you know, they struggle with this franchise to put it into game format. Bring this back, or do a direct sequel, whatever's required. I don't actually know with the title whether this is a direct follow of the plot of the movies. I assume it is, but I don't remember Ripley walking around in the first Alien film blasting everyone with a shotgun and multiple aliens. But be that as it may, whatever the case is, get this on modern systems, remake it. It's still great fun, great game, and it holds up in 2022.